Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and I welcome all of you to the trial of the people versus Sinder. Now, previously we had done our first little opening response out of Cinder, explaining that she could have just moved on, she could have just said sorry, she could have just gone straight back to work. If anything, it seems as if that what Cinder has done is that she's done the biggest case of doubling down I've possibly ever seen in my life, where she pretty much turned around and said, "Actually, no, it wasn't really my fault. Nanolus, Shy Lily, and there was quite a lot of other people that had just as much to blame." And she kind of almost went back on "it's just business" comment again. And because I know this is broken down into about 1,000 pages in total, it means that we've got a lot of work to do. So I'm gonna splice these all into one mega compilation later anyway. But for now, we kind of have to do this step by step. So the redacted section. Let's just get straight to work, shall we? Red helped me put this entire document together. We want to be upfront and honest that this was a two-person effort. It's certainly going to read like that because when you admit, I could have told you that, honestly, Cinder, because the first part read like it was written by two people. His own commentary is present throughout it and is labeled as his in highlighted in blue. And so, yes, the person calling themselves Red is highlighted in blue. Wrap your heads around that one. But anyway, let's do it. Redacted. Hello, I'm Red. I'm Cinder's longtime partner and have worked alongside her since she started this career. I helped her put this document together to set the record straight. Over the past few months, I've had to come to terms with being the reason why Cinder's image, her relationships, and her career were all ruined. I hurt people who were our friends. I fucked up and she had to answer to the world for it by herself. My actions ruined everything for her, and I'm taking responsibility in helping her pick up the pieces. I didn't want to put something out sooner without her that could have made things worse. I ask that you don't hold what I did against her. Red and I. Red and I are still together. We had a falling out and spent some time apart after the documents dropped on April 26th. But he was still here for me when I was ready to talk to him again. We were able to work things out between us and forgive each other for what happened. I wasn't planning to say anything about this again publicly, but I felt I needed to. Years ago, I cheated on Red online for my own selfish reasons, and the things I said about him were out of my own frustrations and past experiences. I made things sound much worse than they were at the time and mischaracterized the person he is. Red already knew that this happened way before it was made public in April, and no one else was ever told about it before then either. We addressed both of our problems in our relationship and moved past it a long time ago. It had nothing to do with my career or current events, and isn't relevant to talk about further. We disagree. We get mad at each other, we argue, but our relationship isn't toxic or abusive in any way. I would appreciate it if the speculation around it would stop. I wonder who could have written that part in. I would appreciate it if the speculation around it would stop. Red and I have always had some level of communication problems, even with each other. Neither of us are good communicators beyond surface level. It's hard to open up and we get in our own heads about things. We butt heads and disagree with each other over sometimes. And even more so working together all day, every day. It's gotten much better over the years, but it's never been perfect. So the idea that anyone in any relationship would know about and agree with everything their partner feels, says, and does is crazy to me. I'm not the only one who's ever had a significant other keep secrets from them, and neither is Red. Every relationship is different and has its own nuances, dynamics, and problems, functioning in a way that only two people involved know and fully understand. No one looking in can say otherwise. Because I cheated on Red, should I assume that everyone's significant other has cheated on them in the past? Should I assume that all of my friends' relationships are the same as mine? No. And for me to claim I know exactly how things work between any of them just because I'm their friend that sees them a few times a year is ridiculous. When I became Cinder, we wanted to keep our relationship private. In public, Red was simply my manager, and we hid our relationship from my friends for over a year during multiple trips. We agreed that I'd tell my closest friends about our relationship in March of 2024, because we felt we were close enough and trusted them enough to tell them. When we travelled, my friends saw us always close by each other, and showing each other our work DMs on our phones, almost all the time from chats we were both in. Instead of talking about things out loud to keep up with our projects while away, and to keep them private between us, it's easier to say, look at this, to keep each other on the same page, rather than have a verbal conversation while we're around other people at almost all times while away. What they saw at conventions or on vacations was all they saw. Only Red and I would have any idea how we worked together and acted around each other when at home. I lived with Red and his family from the summer of 2022 to the end of February of 2025. I have never outright told anyone this, including my closest friends. We wanted to keep at least part of our personal lives private from everyone, even telling some people we lived apart. On stream, I've always said I live with family, friends, and streamed in the basement. The basement part is true. It's where I spend the majority of my time, and it's where I worked and streamed from. My career started there in 2021 with my ASMR Red, was the one with the PC, mic, and experience with content creation since it's always been his hobby. I would go there more and more often until I moved in when I became a full time streamer. For most of my earlier streams with my PNG model, Red would be in the room with me, modeling on a laptop and making sure things would run smoothly. He was there as my tech support since at the time I could barely play games, let alone understand how to use and fix OBS if something went wrong. We built my own PC, and I stopped needing him by my side by the time I debuted my first model in June of 2022. He moved his PC into his own room and has worked from there ever since. Starting sometime last year, my streams kept disconnecting and we couldn't figure out why. This was going on for months, and no matter what we did, it kept happening. We thought there could be something wrong with the internet there that we couldn't fix. So, as a last resort, my parents and I made space for me to move back in with them with my entire stream setup in February. We were able to fix the problem, but it ended up having nothing to do with the internet at all. I've been working and living here since, separate from Red. The reason why I'm revealing all of this now is because we could have easily gone through each other's DMs whenever we wanted in those 3 years, but we didn't. It's not like we never showed each other our messages directly, we did all the time. But we didn't comb through each other's DMs at the end of every day to read anything we may have said, and I don't know anyone who'd say that's normal to do. We would just tell each other things that happened, and that was that. I never felt the need to look over his shoulder to check on anything and everything he was saying and to who. We trusted each other, and he's always had my best interest in mind. Working together. I'm choosing to have Red continue working for me. He will be doing most of what he did for me before, but we will not be doing any work related communication for me in any channels I'm not also a part of. I now have access to his Discord account to check on things myself if I need to. It's clear to me that he learned his own lesson from what happened. He made mistakes, and I forgave him. I wouldn't be where I am without him, and he's just as much as a part of Cinder as I am. He wasn't just a manager that handled some messages, and he had a part in a lot of the things I did. He's always been the main creative mind behind my debuts and other releases too. Even with how involved he was, Red is still his own person, with his own ideas, his own opinions, his own feelings towards people, his own goals, and his own ambitions. Working under the same brand as me, he's always been the business sensible one out of us, and the work side of things was always his focus. We worked together on almost everything, but we didn't agree on everything. There have been many business or creative decisions we'd argue back and forth about, sometimes taking days to reach a compromise. Red didn't always consult me before making his own choices in his messages with our partners. A lot of the time, I agreed with what he did or said, and it was fine. But sometimes I didn't, and we either compromised or I had him walk back what he said. Red didn't tell me about every single interaction he had with people we worked with, and I didn't expect him to. I trusted him. There was never a reason for him to not tell me something important. That was until we disagreed about one of my friends' bow. At the start of this year, we moved a lot of our work related conversations with various artists into a project server, so everything could be organized into one place. I could be included in discussions and decision making where I needed to be, and would be able to see everything being said without having to rely on Red to relay every detail of the things he was handling. This was for organization, convenience, and so I could interact with every person working with me directly. However, this didn't mean Red didn't still use his DMs to do business or talk to people we were working with. Besides the allegations in Nano's document, no one else we've worked with has ever complained about Red, and we've both worked with dozens of people who I believe would say their experience working with us was nothing but positive. Like I said in my apology, there were things Red didn't tell me about, or hid from me, and did without me knowing in his DMs. They've all shown in this document in the order below. I didn't know about these things before beyond what I was told, if I was at all. 1. Red's inclusion of Bao and Cotton in his exclusivity deal with Nano in January of 2025. 2. Red telling artist number 1 Bao was someone he considered competition while discussing exclusivity on the same day as his deal with Nano. 3. Red's conversation with Nano about Shy Lily in April of 2025. 4. Red's conversations with Mod number 1 about Silver Veil throughout 2024 and into 2025. 5. Red asking artist number 2 about not working with Silverveil in March 2025. And 6. Red's conversation with artist number 1 about Silverveil in April of 2025, which artist number 1 told me about days later. The names of artist number 1 and artist number 2 and moderator number 1 are hidden to protect their privacy since they weren't directly involved in everything that happened in April. They will be reintroduced later in this document. Falling out. The night the first documents were posted, Red was here with me. I ended my stream and he came over to see me while we worked on a few things together. We were still awake when Nano and Bao posted their documents at almost 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I didn't understand what was going on and started panicking. Red tried to explain what happened, but I blew up at him and kicked him out, regrettably refusing his help. We weren't in contact for almost a month after. I had one close friend reach out to me after things were public, and I responded to them sometime after Red was gone. I chose not to include their own message here. I'm so sorry, blank. I'm trying to collect myself. Red and I aren't speaking right now, and I'm so upset with everything. I was distraught, and I posted that Red was fired later that morning. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus and avoid accountability. I was blindsided by my friends publicly pointing the finger at me for his words and actions I didn't even know about, and I didn't agree with. I didn't know what else to do. In my apology, I said, as of yesterday, he is no longer working with me, and I have not extensively discussed any of this with him. Because Red will continue working with me, I will be deleting this tweet sometime after posting this document. Effective immediately, Redacted will no longer be managing or overseeing my VTuber activities. He is no longer represents me as a creator, my brand, or my intentions. I'm so sorry, everyone. I will make a larger response when I'm able. Readers added context for people would know. Sinder revealed themselves as well as Van Peaches that Redacted/Red was Cinder's partner. Moreover, per Bow's, Nanolis, and Silvervale's account, Redacted acted with Cinder's knowledge and consent, both of which directly engaged in libel towards other creators. I wonder why that tweet would have been deleted. Right, so from what I understand is that, as I said in the beginning of this, that it seems as if this was written by two people, and to be honest, there's quite a lot of things that this entire thing feels like it was very, very carefully worded together. And what it doesn't seem to understand, that this doesn't seem to come about, is that for all of this about accountability, it seemed to be more about pointing the finger at each other by saying we're not good for each other. And, well, it seems more like they're trying to make excuses that these two were toxic for each other, and, well, they continued hanging out with each other for whatever reason, because I don't care how much they did for me. Anybody who starts engaging in degenerate behavior and slagging people off, absolutely no way are they going to be spending any more time working for me or my brand. You honestly, you know what? Cancerous people, whether they're managers, designs, they are cancer. And what do you do with cancer? You destroy it at its root. That's exactly what you do. You do not sugarcoat it, you don't make excuses, and you certainly don't say you fire them and then you immediately say we're going to start working together again anyway, even after everything Cinder has just admitted to, that these two were cheating on each other. Though it is interesting to note that this document seemed to relate the idea that Cinder was the one to cheat first. I don't know if that was Red's suggestion to put that in, or whether or not that is actually true. You see the sort of problem that these sort of documents create? They seem convoluted and actually have quite a lot of conflicting information that seems more about manipulative bribery and emotional manipulation, as opposed to anything relaying to the truth, or at least Cinder's version of events that she considers to be truthful. And we're not quite done yet, guys, because this is the end of, well, we're going to call this Exhibit A for now. And next time, we'll be going over the events of Exhibit B. So I look forward to all of you guys continuing the trial of the People versus Cinder. And it's time to call a short recess, as we will see all of you guys again for Exhibit B. So, all aboard!